This is the February 16th, 2021 Rainbow District School Board regular board meeting. Please be advised that this meeting is being live streamed and will be archived. The Rainbow District School Board would like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional and ancestral territory of the Anishinaabe, including Atikameksheng, Anishinaabe, and Wahnapitae nations. We would like to acknowledge that we are situated within the Robinson-Huron Treaty of 1850, and we want to recognize the inherent rights of the Anishinaabe that maintain these lands from time immemorial. We'll begin the meeting with roll call. I'll ask Director Blazek.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Trustee St. Jean.
Present.
Trustee Gibson.
Present.
Trustee Cosmerly.
Present.
Trustee Morrison.
Present.
Trustee Dewar.
Present.
Trustee Hunda. Trustee Stringer.
Present.
Trustee Clement.
Present.
Student Trustee LaFrance.
Present.
Trustee Linda Dubosky. Trustee Hunda.
Thank you. Sorry. Oh,
Present.
Perfect.
thank you very much. Approval of agenda. Motion that the agenda for the regular board meeting of February 16th, 2021 be approved as amended. There's going to be an amendment. The amendment is going to be the addition of the words "and window" to the motion under E, number 3, tenders, requests for proposals. I'll repeat that when we get to that part of the meeting, and certainly give you lots of chance to change your copies. Moved by Trustee Cosmerly, seconded by Trustee Morrison. Poll vote, Director Blazek.
Trustee Clement.
In favor.
Trustee Dewar.
In favor.
Trustee Gibson.
In favor.
Trustee Hunda.
In favor.
Trustee Cosmerly.
In favor.
Trustee Morrison.
In favor.
Trustee St. Jean.
In favor.
Trustee Stringer.
In favor.
Student Trustee LaFrance.
In favor.
And I see Trustee Dubosky.
Yes, I'm here. I just signed on. Sorry, I was having technical difficulties.
Okay. So we're just looking for the approval of the agenda. Trustee Dubosky.
Oh, in favor.
Thank you. Carried.
The motion is carried. Thank you very much. Preliminary declarations of pecuniary interest. Being none. We have no presentations this evening, and there is nothing to report from the in-camera because we did not have an in-camera session. Old business. Previous minutes. Motion that the minutes of the regular board meeting held on Tuesday, January 26, 2021 be approved. Moved by Trustee Clement, seconded by Trustee Hunda. Poll vote, Director Blazek.
Trustee Clement.
In favor.
Trustee Dubosky.
In favor.
Trustee Dewar.
In favor.
Trustee Gibson.
In favor.
Trustee Hunda.
In favor.
Trustee Cosmerly.
In favor.
Trustee Morrison.
In favor.
Trustee St. Jean. Trustee St. Jean. Okay. Trustee Stringer.
In favor.
Student trustee LaFrance.
In favor.
I'll try one more time. Trustee St. Jean.
In favor. Sorry, I couldn't get off mute.
Carried.
The motion is carried. 2020-2021 school year update. I'll call on Director Blazik.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay. Trustees, thank you for the opportunity to provide an update on the 2020-2021 school year. I will begin where we left off. At the last board meeting held on January 26, 2021, trustees moved a motion that Rainbow District School Board request the immediate implementation of asymptomatic surveillance testing within Rainbow schools. When a second state of emergency was declared in Ontario, the province announced additional health and safety measures to keep students and staff safe. In her letter to the Ministry of Minister of Education, which is included in your agenda this evening, Chair Dewar indicated that we were pleased that expanded targeted testing was among those measures and respectfully request that voluntary surveillance testing for COVID-19 be offered in Rainbow schools. The request was shared with public health sub-region districts, whose guidance throughout the pandemic has been invaluable. Chair Dewar indicated that surveillance testing is especially necessary in Rainbow schools because of the uniqueness of the region in which our schools are located in Sudbury, Espanola, and Manitoulin Island. While no testing has been scheduled in our schools to date, we continue to dialogue with public health, Sudbury, and districts on how and when this may occur as an added layer of protection for our students and our staff. More to come on this. Last year, as you know, we held out hope that our schools would be able to host in-person commencement ceremonies to honor the class of 2020 who graduated in the midst of a global pandemic. In-person graduations were not possible, and as a result, our secondary schools hosted virtual ceremonies last fall. This year, we are accepting the reality a little earlier and not postponing the inevitable. On January 26, 2021, we advised elementary and secondary schools to begin now to plan for virtual graduation ceremonies to honor grade 8 and grade 12 graduates. Awards will also be presented virtually. These are not the graduations we had hoped for. However, our schools are very creative, and I know they will ensure their students are appropriately recognized and honored among family and friends, like they were last fall. Many schools still have their graduation ceremonies posted on their websites for ongoing viewing, which is certainly one of the benefits of the virtual event. Trustees, we'll be inviting you to tape a congratulatory message to graduates that the schools can incorporate into their celebrations. Shortly after the last board meeting, Ontario's COVID-19 Science Advisory Table updated its modeling projections. The new data came 2 weeks after the province invoked a stay-at-home order to stop the spread of the virus before it overwhelmed the healthcare system. The province's chief medical officer of health said the province-wide lockdown, which came into effect on December 26, 2020, has contributed to a reduction in daily cases. On Wednesday, January 27, 2021, Ontario reported 1,670 new cases of COVID-19. While the downward trend is a step in the right direction, the emergence of COVID-19 variants, which spread that much more rapidly, is cause for concern. And as you know, our community has not been immune to COVID-19. At the end of the day on January 27th, there were 82 active cases in Public Health Sudbury District Services area and 10 active outbreaks. Also, on Thursday, January 28th, Education Minister Stephen Lecce announced that students in 4 of the province's health regions would return to in-person learning on February 1st, 2021. He emphasized, the government agrees with the growing consensus in the medical community that returning students to in-person learning is essential to the well-being and development of mental health of children. According to leading medical and scientific experts, including Ontario's Chief Medical Officer of Health, our province's schools are safe places for learning. On Sunday, January 31st, Public Health Sudbury Districts advised Rainbow District School Board that a confirmed case of COVID-19 had been reported at Llewellyn Park Secondary School. 2 grade 11 classes were asked to self-isolate. To and including till February the 11th till 2021. Students on 2 bus runs were also asked to self-isolate. Administrators worked late into the night notifying affected students, their parents and guardians, and of course relevant staff. Of course, they wanted to reassure students they would be able to write their exams remotely. And arrangements were quickly made with teachers to make this happen. I would like to thank all staff at Llewellyn for pivoting so quickly. Llewellyn Park Secondary School remained open for in-person learners. Our facility staff implemented enhanced cleaning and disinfecting before school began on Monday morning. As always, we appreciate the extra efforts our cleaners and our custodians who are called into the night before in order to make this happen. This pandemic has taught us that, as an organization, we need to be nimble. On Monday, February the 1st, 2021, as more schools in Southern Ontario were returning to in-person learning, the Minister of Education announced $80 million for additional technology devices and another $50 million for air quality or HEPA units for schools across the province. Boards can continue with any direct purchases of these items if they have already been ordered and are immediately available for delivery. Otherwise, boards should participate in the collaborative procurement process to benefit from better pricing. At the Strategic Planning Committee meeting on Tuesday, February the 2nd, 2021, Superintendent of Business Dennis Bazinet provided an update on ventilation projects in Rainbow Schools. We have made tremendous progress in enhancing air quality and will continue with these efforts throughout 2021. Also at the Strategic Planning Committee meeting, we welcome Mental Health Lead Mary Jago. And as you know, our focus this year has been on student well-being and achievement as we continue to support students throughout the pandemic. And we also shared with you how Sudbury Secondary School held its information, how Sudbury Secondary held its information night virtually. They used the power of video to take visitors inside their school to watch students in action in the arts, athletics, and academics. They also showcased interviews with staff and alumni. Many staff members at Sudbury Secondary are proud graduates of the school. On Wednesday, February the 3rd, 2021, we participated in our ongoing conference calls with the City of Greater Sudbury and community representatives. At the meeting, Public Health made a presentation on its vaccination playbook. I think we'll be all very pleased when we develop herd immunity to COVID-19. Like the arrival of spring after a long winter, the advent of spring of that vaccine gives us renewed hope. And our partners at Public Health have a plan in place to distribute the vaccine as efficiently as possible when supplies are delivered. Later, on February the 3rd, the Minister of Education announced that in-person learning would resume in 13 public health unit areas in Southern Ontario on February the 8th, 2021. In-person learning in Peel, Toronto, and York would resume on February the 16th. As of today, all schools in Ontario are back to in-person learning. Also, on February the 3rd, the minister spoke about the government's plan to expand voluntary asymptomatic testing in schools for students, staff, and families. The selection of schools to be tested would be determined by the local health unit in partnership with boards and would include traditional and rapid testing. The minister also announced the temporary certification of eligible teachers candidates who are set to graduate in 2021 to supplement and stabilize staffing levels in schools. Calling on teacher candidates would only occur if we were to deplete our pool of supply teachers due to high levels of absenteeism. During the reporting period of Thursday, January 28, 2021, to Wednesday, February the 3rd, 2021, Public Health Sudbury districts recorded 40 new cases of COVID-19. with 11 outbreaks, including 5 in schools within our coterminous boards. At this time, there were 64 active cases in our health unit area. As always, the stats remind us to be vigilant with masking, hand washing, and physical distancing at all times. We continue to emphasize health and safety protocols with students and staff, whether they are at school or out in the community. The local medical officer of health for public health, Sudbury and District, and the directors of education for the 4 area school boards issued a joint letter expressing our support for the essential priority of safe in-person learning. We agree with the province's medical officers of health that the return to school for in-person learning is an essential priority, one we are fortunate to be able to protect throughout Sudbury, Espanola, and Manitoulin. We are proud of our educators, our support staff, custodial staff, administrators, students, families, and area residents for working together to keep everyone safe. When we keep COVID-19 out of the community, we keep COVID-19 out of our schools. As you are aware, we received a memo from the Minister of Education on January the 2021 with additional guidance regarding self-screening for COVID-19, which stated, effective January 25th, for all elementary and secondary staff, and effective February 10th for all secondary students, schools are to conduct on-site confirmation of self-screening prior to or upon arrival to school. Our superintendent responsible for health and safety provided additional guidance to secondary schools on February 5th. Schools were asked to review the requirement to self-screen with students on Monday, February the 8th, and Tuesday, February the 9th. And as of Wednesday, February the 10th, staff have been confirming with all students that they have completed their daily COVID-19 self-screening prior to arriving at school. This is done during the first period when attendance is taken. On Monday, February the 8th, we sent a letter to parents and guardians to remind secondary students to screen for COVID-19 as part of their morning routine. We advised them that confirmation will occur during first period. We invited families to please post a note on the fridge or set a daily reminder to screen for COVID-19 each and every day before leaving for school. This is very important to limit the spread and keep everyone safe. On Friday, February the 5th, Public Health Sudbury District advised that it had received confirmation from Public Health Ontario that a local individual had tested positive for the COVID-19 UK variant B117. Dr. Penny Sutcliffe reminded us that we are all vulnerable. And on February the 6th, Public Health Sudbury Districts received confirmation from Public Health Ontario that a second local individual had tested positive for the COVID-19 UK variant. And if you've been watching what is occurring in North Bay, you will know that the UK strain is a very real threat. North Bay also recorded a case of the South African strain. We need to redouble our efforts to keep the virus and its variants of concern at bay. On February the 5th, we also heard from the Ontario Federation of School Athletic Associations that all OFSA championships for the spring season have been canceled. We all know that participation in sports is an important part of the overall school experience. So it is certainly disappointing that student athletes will not have an opportunity to compete among their peers provincially. In making this announcement, however, OFSA reiterated its continued support for sports and activity for the benefit of students for physical and their mental well-being. They said, I quote, "School sports play a vital role in education and in the lives of students. And while this announcement affects OFSA events only, we encourage, whenever possible, local inter-school sports, intramurals, and skill development. The feasibility of those activities should be assessed by school boards and school athletic associations in consultation with local public health units. And this will continue to occur under the leadership of Superintendent Bruce Bridgette, who will make every opportunity possible to ensure that our students will be able to follow those, and of course, keeping in mind the health and safety in first and foremost. OFSA will continue to assess the situation as the distribution of vaccine moves forward. On Friday, February the 8th, as the second semester began in our secondary schools, we welcomed more students to in-person learning. This was the second opportunity for students to pivot between remote and in-person. There will be another opportunity on April 20th. Of course, when remote learners come back for face-to-face instruction, principals reach out to students and families in advance to ensure they are all well aware of the health and safety protocols in our schools. A number of areas are covered: the importance of daily screening before leaving home, staying home when sick, the need to wear a mask on the bus and at school, no congregating before and after school, protocols for entry and exit, hand washing and sanitizing, directional signage, limiting personal belongings, maintaining cohorts, bringing a water bottle, food and recycling, going home for lunch, music and sports, washroom use, limited access to school, and what happens when students get sick at school. All the protocols put in place at the start of the school year need to be reviewed carefully for those students and families who are joining us midway. And we always look forward to welcoming our students back to class for in-person learning. Likewise, when students move from in-person learning to remote learning, we ensure they have the technology they need to learn from home. Very proud of how our administrators, educators, and support staff have been able to accommodate all students in both learning modalities. On February the 8th, Premier Ford provided an update on the provincial lockdown. He indicated that the emergency order would expire at the end of the day on February the 9th, and there would be a gradual transition out of the province-wide shutdown. The stay-at-home order for public health in Sudbury District will continue until Tuesday, February 16th. A final decision about where local public health will be in the revised response framework is subject to review of the trends in public health indicators at that time. Recognizing the risk posed by new variants, the province has introduced an emergency brake to allow for immediate action if a public health unit region experiences rapid growth in COVID-19 transmission or if its healthcare system risks becoming overwhelmed. The province's Chief Medical Officer of Health said, while we are seeing our numbers trend in the right direction, our situation remains precarious as the variants of concern remain a serious risk. This is not a reopening or a return to normal, and we must continue to limit close contact to our immediate households and stay at home except for essential reasons. And I will expand further on essential reasons in a moment. The Minister of Education and Ontario's Medical Officer of Health provided an update on the school-focused nurse initiative in public health units and shared a resource to support the ongoing work of public health nurses in schools and school communities. You will recall that upwards of 625 nurses were hired in Ontario to support schools with COVID-19, including screening, testing, tracing, and mitigation strategies. On February 9th, we received the School Public Health Nurses and COVID-19 Role Clarification Resource. The resource outlines the full scope of supports that the additional COVID-19 school public health nurses provide. As mentioned previously, our secondary students must now confirm that they have completed the self-screening tool before leaving for school. This is done during first period homeroom when attendance is taken. The validation serves as a daily reminder to students that they must stay home from school if they are sick, have had close contact with anyone diagnosed with COVID-19, have been advised by a doctor, healthcare provider, or public health to self-isolate and/or have traveled outside of Canada in the last 14 days. I would like to thank our parents and guardians for working with us as partners in health and safety. Thank you for reminding your children to screen for COVID-19 as part of your morning routine. On February the 11th, the Minister of Education announced that the March break has been postponed until April 12th through the 16th. The decision was hailed as a precaution based on advice from health experts, including the province's science table and the Chief Medical Officer of Health, in order to help protect against the emerging COVID-19 variants of concern. On the same day, the province's science advisors unveiled new modeling data. More contagious variants of the virus could cause 5,000 to 6,000 infections a day by the end of March. Public Health and Sudbury District advised school boards that there are more protective provincial guidelines in place currently to stop or slow the spread of the more infectious COVID-19 virus variants circulating in the province. Students who are asked to self-isolate should seek COVID-19 testing. For the duration of a student's isolation period, everyone else in the household should stay home except for essential reasons. Essential reasons include attending work, school, or childcare, and essential errands such as groceries, attending medical appointments, or picking up prescriptions. Staying at home, except for essential reasons, includes no non-essential visitors or no non-essential errands, exercise alone or only with people you live with, wear a mask if you need to go out for essential reasons, and if you may, be less than 2 meters apart from others, and work from home if you can. If the student who has been asked to self-isolate develops symptoms of COVID-19, everyone in the household is required to self-isolate until the student receives a negative test result or an alternative diagnosis by a healthcare professional. If a student is not tested, all members of the household must self-isolate from 14 days from their last exposure to the symptomatic person. Note, there are no requirements at this time for other children in the household to stay away from school or childcare as long as the child with the exposure has no symptoms of COVID-19. We have been advised this direction is currently under review and could change. Should we have a confirmed case, public health letters to families will reflect this guidance. From Thursday, February the 4th to Wednesday, February the 10th, Public Health in Sudbury District reported 24 new cases. In total, there were 27 active cases, so the numbers were trending downwards last week as we looked ahead to reopening locally. Amidst the memos, the resources, the protocols and procedures, school life continued. Confederation Secondary School and Llewellyn Park Secondary School hosted virtual open houses on February 11th, and our schools were challenged to take their traditional open houses and move them into the virtual world. And I must say, they responded with flying colors. Let's take a look at Llewellyn Park Secondary School, where they produced a Llewellyn Park Open House website. Here's a sample of the many videos that were featured, putting staff and students front and center.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Peloso, and I'm the Program Leader of Sciences at Llewellyn Park. There are many options for students looking to study science at Llewellyn. We offer applied, academic, and IB prep science, as well as chemistry, biology, physics, environmental science, and neuroscience. In grade 11, we offer IB biology and IB chemistry. All of our science courses focus heavily on skill building and hands-on learning. Our goal is to prepare students for their future by helping them to develop problem-solving and critical thinking skills.
My name is Emmanuel, and I'm a grade 12 student here at Llewellyn Park. I will be taking engineering in university because the science program here has inspired me. I've enjoyed every single one of my science classes.
Hi, my name is Danielle, and I'm a grade 12 student at Llewellyn. I am a part of the Environmental SHISM, which helps create a focused path for grade 11 and 12 and helps you figure out what you want to do after you graduate.
The day following the announcement that March break has been postponed to the week of April 12th to the 16th, Executive Council met first thing in the morning to assess the impact of the date change. We have a number of board-wide events scheduled to occur the week of April 12th that must now be rescheduled. Fortunately, the administration of the OSSLT, the Ontario Secondary School Literacy Test, will not be impacted. This year, EQAO is offering OSSLT as a field test over a window of time that will allow in-person learners who choose to write to do so. You will recall that successfully completing the OSSLT is not a requirement for students who are graduating this June. Other activities that will be that will need to be rescheduled include Embrace Diversity, Free to Be Me, grades 9 to 12 on April 13th. The PIC presentation, Safe Schools and Violence with Kevin Cameron, slated for April 14th. Math, Science, and Tech Olympics, slated for the 15th of April. And of course, our own staffing timelines in preparation for the 2021-2022 school year. We will advise of new dates once they are determined. On Friday, February the 12th, 2021, once we had received official notification from the Minister of Education, we sent a message to all staff regarding the delay in the March break, and we sent a letter to parents and guardians. We also reflected the change on the board website. We thanked our staff, students, and families for their continued flexibility, patience, and understanding. In consultation with the Chief Medical Officer of Health, the province announced on Friday, February the 12th, that public health submarine districts was among the public health units being transitioned out of the shutdown and into a revised and strengthened COVID-19 response framework. Public health submarine districts is in the orange restrict zone. It should be noted that our neighbors in North Bay remain in shutdown, and the stay-at-home order and all existing public health and workplace safety measures continue to apply. After returning to the framework, public health regions will stay in their level for at least 2 weeks, at which time the government will assess the impact of public health and workplace safety measures to determine if the region should stay where they are or be moved to a different level. Public health regions will move up through the levels, if necessary, based on the set of indicators and thresholds outlined in the framework. In the orange zone, athletic programs are able to return to train. Guidance was shared with schools, including the health and safety protocols. Return to competition requires more discussion and will be shared at a later date. We are not at a return to play at this point. Participating in athletics remains voluntary. We continue to respect and support each athlete's decision. We are also following health and safety's requirements in the orange zone status. Here are a few examples. Maximum of 50 people indoors, 100 outdoors. No spectators. Participants must sign in to confirm they pre-screened for COVID-19. Team or individual sports must be modified to avoid physical contact. Face coverings are required at all times while indoors. Face coverings must be worn outdoors when physical distancing cannot be maintained. Hands must be sanitized upon entry and exit. Limit sharing of equipment where possible. No high five or team huddles. All sports are to follow the sports-specific rules and guidelines provided by the Provincial Sport Organization. Superintendent Burgett and Health and Safety Officer David Digby will be meeting with Public Health tomorrow to discuss athletics further. On Friday, February the 12th, Public Health Submarine District updated its guidance on personal protective equipment for school-based staff in light of the new COVID-19 variants. It is recommended that teachers and other school-based staff wear eye protection at all times, and this has been our practice since the beginning of the school year. If staff remain in their classroom with their students during meals, they can remove their mask and eye protection to eat as long as they maintain a distance of 2 meters from the students at all times. As soon as staff have finished eating, they must practice hand hygiene and put their medical mask and eye protection back on. In staff rooms, staff are able to remove their mask and eye protection during meal times. However, they must maintain a distance of 2 meters from all other staff while eating. As soon as staff finish eating, they must wash their hands and put their medical mask and eye protection back on. Staff may choose a face shield or goggles as eye protection. On Monday, February the 15th, Public Health and Submarine Districts advised Rainbow District School Board that a confirmed case of COVID-19 had been reported at Cyril Varney Public School. The individual who tested positive for COVID-19 is currently self-isolating and being monitored by Public Health Submarine Districts. The grade 4-5 class was contacted last night and asked to self-isolate to and including February the 25th. The affected students, their parents and guardians, and relevant staff received a letter from Public Health with specific guidance. Public Health will directly contact all parents and guardians of students and all school personnel who have been identified as close contact. there was no impact on transportation. Silver Varney Public School remains open for in-person learners. In an abundance of caution, we implemented enhanced cleaning and disinfecting before the school opened early this morning. Our COVID-19 advisory page on the board website has been updated to reflect this new confirmed case. And when we checked the local data on COVID-19 this morning, there were 37 active cases in Public Health Sudbury District coverage area. Today, the Ministry of Education shared its updated approach for expanded testing in schools. School boards will undertake asymptomatic targeted testing in at least 5% of its elementary and secondary schools within their jurisdiction each week. That means at least 2 schools per week in our board. School locations will be selected by school boards with support from the Ministry of Education. Local public health units will also be invited to participate in school selection. School boards are encouraged to prioritize schools in areas of high transmission, high case numbers, and schools where access to current testing programs may be challenging. While the 5% target is on the number of schools where testing will occur, boards are also asked to reach 2% of their student population per week. For us, that's about 260 students. School boards are encouraged to include children and staff from child care centers in their schools in their testing plans. Testing will use a combination of rapid antigen and PCR testing and will look to use less invasive methods of testing where possible. The testing will be voluntary and consent will be required. Testing will be for asymptomatic students and staff only. Household members of students and staff and anyone with symptoms should seek testing at an assessment center. Implementation will begin for our jurisdiction on February 22nd, 2021. We will determine a testing plan for Rainbow Schools in the next few days. Our testing plans will be shared with Public Health Sudbury and districts, recognize their continued responsibility for investigation, contact tracing, and case management support in confirmed cases. We've also been advised by the ministry that voluntary in-pharmacy testing for asymptomatic school staff will be available across much of the province starting February 19, 2021. At our next secondary school information night is on, our next secondary school information night is on Wednesday, February the 17th, 2021 with LaSalle Secondary School. Let's have a sneak peek.
Hello, my name is Maureen McNamara and I'm the very proud principal of LaSalle Secondary School. I'd like to welcome you to our open house, virtual that is. Here you'll get the opportunity to explore the different programs that LaSalle has to offer. Please know that we are a 7 to 12 dual track school, which means we offer full programming in French immersion and English. As you navigate your way through the open house, please pay attention to all of the various details because you may have questions. And after the open house viewing, please visit our website because here you can seek out individuals to ask questions and gain answers as you make the very important decision of your high school. So to all our future Lancers, looking so forward to meeting you and seeing you in September. Thank you.
Speaking of LaSalle Secondary School, we want to extend our best wishes to Summer Joy Andres, who placed first in the CPA Ontario video contest. If you were a social entrepreneur and had $1,000, what would your business be? Summer was challenged to create a video to showcase her idea. She began brewing coffee for two, an innovative startup with a blend of care and compassion. Take a look at her winning entry.
Imagine this. If I was a social entrepreneur and I had $1,000, what would my business be? I thought about it for 2 weeks and I finally came up with Coffee for Two. Coffee for Two is a coffee truck that sells both coffee and tea. Why is the name of the business Coffee for Two? Well, that's because each customer will buy a cup of coffee or tea for the price of two. Sounds ridiculous, right? Hear me out. The Coffee Association of Canada mentions in their 2019 infographic that 72% of Canadians whose ages range from 16 to 79 drink coffee, and that 2.8 is the average number of cups of coffee Canadian adults drink daily. Canadians sure love their coffee, don't they? So I thought, what if their love for coffee helped the homeless have their own cups of coffee in the morning or on a cold winter day? Now that's where Coffee for Two helps turn my what ifs into reality. Let's say you buy a cup of coffee from our shop and you pay $2. Let's disregard the tax to make things simple. What happens to that $2 you gave us? Well, $1 will support our business, and then the other dollar will be used to buy a cup of coffee for one of your local homeless neighbors. Does it sound a bit reasonable now? I hope so. Back to the question that started all this. If I was a social entrepreneur and I had $1,000, what would my business be? My answer? Coffee for Two, providing a cup of warmth for everyone.
Congratulations to
Imagine this.
Congratulations to Summer Joy Andres of LaSalle Secondary School. Secondary school information nights wrap up on Thursday, February the 18th with Espanola High School, Lively District Secondary School, and Manitoulin Secondary School. And of course, there is still time to register for kindergarten. For enrollment in kindergarten, children must be 4 years of age by the end of the calendar year. Kindergarten information nights moved online as well. On the plus side, schools are now open 24/7. Visit school websites to learn more about programs offered. Let's join a few of the kindergarten students at Walden Public School.
Hi, my name is Kenzie, and I like Walden Public School because it's fun and I get to meet new friends and new teachers. And I like coming to school because I get to color and I learn about bears. And bear in French is ours. Bonjour, I'm Zoe. I can do science and I know how to do in French. And I love kindergarten because there's cool activities and they can switch. Au revoir.
And let's go inside the home of the Grizzlies at S. Geiger Public School. And as you can see, schools are having a lot of fun with these videos. I think we are too. And this brings the presentation to a close. I would be pleased to answer any questions that you may have.
Trustee Morrison?
No question. I just felt the need to make a comment. These operational updates, Norm, have been absolutely fabulous. And if I just look at tonight's report, just the volume of activity that's occurred in the last 2 weeks since you gave the last update is just amazing. So thank you very much, Director Blasek. You keep us very well informed.
Just to that end, Trustee Morrison, I would like to point out that our communications officer, I think, is working 36/7. I'm not sure if that's possible, but she's working time and a half every day because she's trying to capture as much as she can, and she does a wonderful job.
Thank you very much for that. The more we move along in this pandemic, the more aware I become that the suddenness of change is just overpowering, and it never ceases to amaze me that no matter how much we plan, there are constant roadblocks, and our staff still manages to get right to what their jobs are, and that is the safety, well-being, and education of our students. So thank you so much. Trustee Cosmerly.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. I just had one question regarding the asymptomatic testing. I think you said something about it, but I might have missed it. Who will be doing the testing in the schools? Sorry.
So thank you, Trustee Cosmerly. At this time, what we've been advised is that a third party will be hired through the Ministry of Education. They have 2 mobile units. Don't know the names of those units, but they will be hired by the Ministry of Education. My understanding is that they would be facilitated through Toronto, through the whatever measures the ministry has in terms of that contract, hiring folks from Sudbury to work for them. So if they have nurses in Sudbury, they'd be working for them, and they would be going into the schools. That's the latest from what I heard that's not official, okay? This is in my conversations with Public Health Sudbury. That's what's happened in the past. So we think that's what's going to be happening going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee Gibson.
Thank you, Chair Dewar. Just as a supplementary to Trustee Cosmerly's question, we know that the Catholic Board has already done testing with the third-party company from Toronto. So have we spoken to them to get an idea of? Obviously, they've gone through it, so there might be some tips or information to share.
Yeah, good point. We work very closely with the other 3 boards in terms of our experiences and our practices. And you're right, Joanne Bernard, the director for the Sudbury Catholic, did share her experience through the third party. And we're coordinating with the other 3 boards and with Public Health and through the Ministry of Education through Shannon Fuller, the ADM. And so there are a number of people at play here. And of course, you should realize that there are lots of moving parts here. And so we're trying to ensure that we have the best opportunity possible for us, and we'll know better by the end of this week what that will look like. You should know that I did contact the ministry today, left a message with them to get back to me ASAP, because I would like to get involved in this right away. And I've also been in contact with the other 3 directors as of today, because we like to coordinate by regions. So if we have a pocket, let's say if it's the pocket right now, let's say it's Cyril Varney, so why wouldn't all the school boards in that particular area take advantage of the testing for that area? Because our kids play with each other, right? Although they're not supposed to, but we know that they do. So there's an opportunity for us to work together in order to get the testing, because remember, all of us have to have 2% of our kids tested, so why not we do it in a coordinated way? For us, it's 2 schools. I'm not sure what the Sudbury Catholic is. There's maybe 1, it might be 2, I'm not sure. So they would have the same. And of course, the French boards, they have a different formula, but we would coordinate with them as best we can. And also, this makes it much easier for Public Health in order to organize their support systems, because if somebody does test positive, they would be referred to Public Health for further assessment.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Moving on, tenders and requests for proposals. If you take a look at that motion, that the board award the contract for Confederation Secondary School ventilation, and then we add the amendment, and window upgrades. Tender number 2021-06 to New Style Construction Company, 1988 Limited, for $1,539,000. Moved by Trustee Cosmerly, seconded by Trustee Hunda. Any questions before I call for the vote? Trustee Cosmerly?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, I guess to Superintendent Bazinet. I just wanted to know, like, is this all windows at Confed that will be upgraded, or is it just some? That's my question.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. Essentially, under this project, we will be replacing the remaining old windows in the school, which is roughly half of the entire building. We will also be installing 4 new mechanical rooftop units, 3 humidifiers, and completing the building automation system. With this upgrade, it will result in the entire building being mechanically ventilated and allow us the ability to control the ventilation remotely and to program the ventilation to a desired schedule. Also, the project is being funded through our allocation of school condition improvement funding and also the new COVID-19 resilience infrastructure funding.
Thank you very much. Trustee LaFrance, would you please turn off your mic? Thank you. Poll vote, Director Blazik.
Trustee Clement?
In favor?
Trustee Dubosky?
In favor.
Trustee Dewar?
In favor.
Trustee Gibson?
In favor.
Trustee Hunda?
In favor.
Trustee Cosmerly?
In favor.
Trustee Morrison?
In favor?
Trustee St. Jean?
In favor.
Trustee Stringer?
In favor.
Student Trustee LaFrance?
In favor.
Carried.
The motion is carried. Thank you very much. Reports and recommendations from board committees, new business, 2021-2022 school year structure.
Thank you, Madam
Motion.
Chair. Oh, sorry.
All right, I'll go ahead and put the motion out first. Motion that the board approve the 2021-2022 school year structure for elementary and secondary schools. Moved by Trustee Morrison, seconded by Trustee Gibson. Trustee St. Jean, I saw Trustee Gibson first. Thank you very much. Director Blazik.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to remind everybody that the actual sheet that I think that Heather sent to you today, that is embargoed until February the 26th. So those specifics of that will be embargoed until then. And the rationale behind that is we have 3 other boards that are coordinating. So they have to pass motions at their respective boards. That's Sudbury Catholic, Grand Nord, and Nouvelle Ontario. So once all 4 boards have passed, it will be a joint release on the 26th of February. Having said that, we can still do the motion without speaking to the specifics. But what I can tell you is this. The school year calendar, though, there are a minimum of 194 days within a school year. This year, in the 2021-22 school year, we had 196 days to choose from. So what does that look like? It starts from as early as September the 1st and goes until September 30th. So we had 196 days within that range. So we had to pick 194. Of those 194, 7 must be PA days. And of course, we have to recognize the traditional holidays. So if we had Christmas and March break, et cetera. So if you modify any of those dates, if you change any of those dates, when you go for a submission, if you modify Christmas or March, you are modifying, which means you must ask for special permission, and that would have to be submitted prior to March the 1st. because we are actually offering a normal or regular type of calendar for 2021-22 school year, we are asking just for a regular approval, which means that we don't have to submit it until May the 1st. So it takes quite a period of time before the ministry actually approves it. So even though the four of us, when I say the four of us, the four conterminous boards, if we go forward with this and we have a joint process and we all have joint approval, and we collaborated and we coordinated, it still must be approved by the ministry. One of the nuances, though, as we found out with COVID, and I just want everybody to be aware of this is a regulation under 304. Typically, regs, they're not toyed with, and in this year, of course, and maybe that was a poor choice of words, but in this particular year, on 2 occasions, we've had the school year calendar changed. So I just want everybody to know, going forward, even though we think we have a good plan, a good school year structure, it is apt to change based on the ministry seeing what are the implications of COVID-19 going forward. Okay, so just wanted to be upfront about that. But having said that, I think we're in a good place. We have approval, at least at the directorial level, for the plan that's in front of you, and each of the boards are respectively putting it to their boards. That'll happen during the course of this month. And of course, on February 26th, should everybody approve, we will have a joint release, and Nicole Charette will be the lead behind that, and of course, it will be shared publicly at that time. Questions?
Thank you very much. Any questions? Director Blazik, would you do a poll vote?
Sure. Trustee Clement.
In favor.
Trustee DeBoski.
In favor.
Trustee Dewar.
In favor?
Trustee Gibson.
In favor.
Trustee Hunda.
In favor.
Trustee Cosmerly.
In favor?
Trustee Morrison.
In favor?
Trustee St. Jean.
In favor.
Trustee Stringer.
In favor.
Student Trustee LaFrance.
In favor.
Carried.
Motion is carried. There are no requests for leave of absence. Director's remarks.
All of my remarks have already been passed on, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. OPSPA Director, I'd like to call on Trustee Clement.
Not much news since our last meeting, where the last meeting we had was with First Nations trustees also, which was very, very nice to see. Our last subcommittee meeting with OSPA was Trustee Judy Cosmerly and I with our Project Compass, which deals with policy and procedures through OPSPA, but that's about it. And we're meeting again this week. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Student Trustee Ava LaFrance, do you have anything for us?
There's also not much news on for Student Senate. We're just working towards our Stand Up for Equity conference, which we're planning for the end of April.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Trustees' remarks and questions. I have Trustee Morrison, and I also have Trustee Stringer. Trustee Morrison first.
Madam Chair, I was just looking for the opportunity actually to ask our OPSPA Director, Trustee Clement. I noticed when OPSPA sent out the communique in around the change to March break to April, that OPSPA really took a kind of what I read as a supportive position with the province, with the province's position. I just wondered if we were consulted about that. Bob, were you ever asked what our opinion was on that?
No, ma'am.
Okay, just checking. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee Stringer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last week at a Manitoulin Leadership COVID meeting, one of the Manitoulin chiefs expressed their concern about the March break potentially being canceled and the negative impact it would have on students. She asked if I'd bring her concern to the meeting for discussion and potentially ask the board to consider writing a letter of support to the ministry similar to OPSPA's statement on the March break.
However, the next day, the province made the decision to delay the March break on the advice of public health experts, so clearly there's no action required at this time. That said, I do have concerns, as I'm sure many do. Delaying the March break, I realize, is based on the theory that we don't want people moving around, especially at a time when we have the COVID variants circulating in the province, perhaps peaking at that time. But moving out of lockdown appears to be saying the opposite thing. So I'm not sure where this is going to take us, but I must say I continue to be so very proud of our students and all of our school staff as they cope with these ongoing challenges. Thank you, Madam Chair.
And thank you, Trustee Stringer. Trustee Clement.
Madam Chair, just going back to Nora's presentation about SGAGR and other groups that put out pictures. I look at all the Facebook pages from all the schools all the time, but SGAGR, for some reason, and if you saw in those pictures, somebody over there has the photographic eye, and they are able to capture those children's eyes so well, and they always melt my heart. So I just thought I'd put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trustee Clement. That's something that we all enjoy. It really helps to keep us going, I think. So under Chair's remarks, I want to begin. Oh, sorry, Trustee Morrison, I never saw your hand up.
That's okay.
Please continue.
Thank you, Chair Dewar. It's my second time. This is a very brief comment on a personal note, because I've been very concerned about trying to practice well-being exercises and things that are good for me. And as I look at the screen right now, I just want to thank Trustee Cosmoley. Her coordination from head to toe is, I find, really uplifting tonight. Thank you, Trustee Cosmoley.
Good.
It's a triple light.
Good observance. And I notice our Trustee Clement with a tie on this evening for us. So very well done. Thank you so much. So I want to begin tonight's remarks with a thank you to the Ontario Public School Board Association for hosting the 2021 Public Education Symposium on January the 28th. By providing a number of guest speakers and panel discussions on timely issues, trustees had the opportunity to expand their knowledge during what is continuing to be an almost surrealistic historical event. As informative as PES was, I have to say that a virtual symposium will never replace the face-to-face experiences of a non-pandemic gathering. The ministers' teleconferences continue on a weekly basis. Minister Lecce provides summations of what steps have been taken to try to ensure the safe delivery of education. He has stressed that most of the decisions are being driven by advice from health units across the province. And I did want to mention at this point that I sent along under correspondence to the chair a release from the ministry that you probably will enjoy reading. Might answer some of the questions, although we had more questions than answers at the last session. I was privileged to attend several Rainbow District School Board Standing Committee meetings this past month, including Special Education Advisory Committee on February 3rd, the Student Senate Committee on February the 8th, and the Equity and Inclusive Committee on February the 11th. Thank you to the wonderful staff, students, parents, and community members who involve themselves in these and other standing committees and who give of their time and talents. The thought for the month comes from an unknown but extremely clever individual. And I don't know who that individual is, but the quote is this: "A dream written down with a date becomes a goal. A goal broken down into steps becomes a plan. A plan backed by action becomes reality." End quote. Thank you to all who work to make dreams become reality. In your backup, you have reports from, including the Special Education Advisory Committee minutes and some non-staff communications. The board and strategic planning schedule are included. Now, they are a draft, and I'd like to remind you of what Director Blazik said as far as having to make changes as we go along, and we will try to follow that particular schedule. However, we do the best we can. Take a moment and go through the future meetings. First Nation Advised Parent, I'd like you to take a look at the Student Senate Committee, and I just want to check. It says 5 p.m., but Trustee LaFrance, I think it should be 5:30. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we usually do start our meetings at 5:30.
Okay, so we'll correct that to 5:30. I just saw it as we were going along here, so okay. And there are, if anyone else sees any other meetings that have mistakes, be sure we contact. You can always contact Heather, I think, and let her know, and she'll let the rest of us know. Motion that we do now adjourn, moved by Trustee Morrison, seconded by Trustee Clement, and I'm going to once more wave goodbye. Thank you very much. That will be our method of voting on this motion. Thank you.